Welcome to today's webinar. My name is MJ DePalma, and I'm part of the Bing Ads team here, and I'll be your host as well as your Q&A moderator. If you'd like to tweet any one of us, or even Bing Ads directly, our Twitter handles are at the bottom. Also, be sure to use the hashtag Bing Ads webinar so your fellow colleagues can share in the conversation. You can find it at the bottom of the presentation for your reference throughout the webinar. Again, if you have any questions during the webinar, please type them into the Q&A tool on the right side of your screen and click Submit. Myself and our Bing Ads team will work to answer your questions as soon as possible, either through the chat room or if we have time at the end of the webinar with our speakers. I'm really excited for today's webinar because we have two of the most awesome PPC folks in the industry, Eric Couch and Purna Virgi. I can't wait to dig into the information that you guys have for our attendees today. They're going to show you how to strike gold with Bing Ads Remarketing, and they'll go over the most, to make the most out of the different types of searchers that are out there. Not every searcher is created equal. Right, Eric?
Absolutely, MJ.
Get a list of ideas for remarketing segments to boost ROI. They'll also go over how to execute offline to online remarketing, which is pretty cool. And tips to avoid the creepiness factor. Yep, we just talked about that. We're going to talk about the elephant in the room.
I'm not the one going over that because I'm not the person to talk about creepiness. We're leaving that to everybody else.
Yep. And also specifically on how to get started. So, Purna, take it away.
Thank you, MJ. This quote really strikes a chord within me and I think every marketer. The true scarce commodity is increasingly human attention. So that's the quote, of course, from our CEO, Satya Nadella, and it just sums up why audience segmentation is just so important today. The fact is, you will check your phone, your email, your social feeds roughly 20 times before the end of this webinar. Just check yourself. You'll notice you're doing this. We're constantly being bombarded by data, and every day, we are seeing new devices, new apps, and new services cropping up. Each of them are saying that, oh, they're going to help us get more done with less effort, but they just become one more thing competing for our very finite time and attention. So in this kind of a world, the question we're asking is, how does any marketer effectively cut through the clutter? So really the answer that we said is that our marketing efforts need to resemble one-on-one conversations. We need to be conversing with our customers. We need to engage them, interest them, charm them. And we can do that by being very relevant and making it all about them. And we can get these insights through some of our Bing Ads latest tools, which are the conversion tracking and remarketing. So Eric, why don't you give us the scoop a little bit on UET?
Well, Purna, it would be my pleasure. So the backbone behind these audience insights, the way to have this kind of like fully fledged conversation with your audience is universal event tracking. 'Cause it's going to be the lever, it's going to be the engine that powers our funnel insights and our remarketing. So I'm going to dive into that for you here today. Actually, both of us are. So what we're going to cover is what it is, how it works, and how to set it up. So let's get it started. So what is universal event tracking? So I'm sure some of you out there in the audience are definitely familiar with what universal event tracking is. It launched last October. Universal event tracking is a JavaScript tag that gets placed across all the pages of your website in order to track and manage your goals and conversions events as driven by your Bing Ads campaign. So this is a sample code up here. You can easily deploy that in a couple of different ways that will show you later on in the webinar. You can either do it on your site or through other systems. And basically, and you know, indulge my nerdiness here, but this is kind of one tag to rule them all. I don't know, you're Lord of the Rings fans out there. I'm seeing a couple of groans out there.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah, okay. In my defense, that joke comes to us courtesy of Christy Olson. She's a friend of ours. But it really is a one-tag solution that really drives a whole host of features in the Bing Ads interface. And the reason this is so powerful is because it drives customer level attribution. So because our tags are assigned at the customer level, we're now able to attribute conversions across devices, campaigns, and accounts. And this results in more accurate attribution and avoids duplicate reporting. And for reference, we use last-click attribution. And for cross-device, we attribute based upon tying multiple anonymous machine IDs, each identifying a specific browser on a device, to a single user when we have a high degree of confidence based upon previous signals. So what does this mean? Well, basically, it gives you the visibility that you need. Your conversion events become so much more powerful with the addition of UET because you get improved conversion opportunities. You can track different types of goals. It's not just tied to simple destination URLs. You have a whole host of different kinds of conversions you can track now, and you can value the full experience a customer has on your website, not just the final one. You also have a one-time tagging experience. You eliminate the need to place tags more often. It also introduces powerful remarketing, where you can follow up with potential customers based upon their actions on your website, and you get attribution insights with last-click attribution, where you can better understand campaign performance. And you can use this information to supplement, not take the place of, your existing analytics insights. UET is really all about driving more value from your Bing Ads campaigns, and this level of data will enable just that. So, Purna, how can you do that with funnel insights?
Well, yes, Eric. In the past, if we think about the old days, prehistoric times, conversion tracking was relegated just to the end of the sales or conversion funnel. But now, with the single UET tag, we can start to build conversion events and goals around upper funnel activity as well. So what does that mean for you advertisers? It just provides you with valuable insights to adjust your messaging and better engage your audiences.
Yeah.
So let me give you an example. So if we had a large-scale insurance company and our audience was like B2C, so we're reaching directly to the consumers. Our primary goal was to drive lead form completions to then ultimately monitor how well the site was converting these leads. So then as this advertiser, we would examine the actual conversion page itself, and then based on all this data, we would have to reallocate budgets as appropriate. So this is why having the better conversion data will play such a big role. Form completions are one thing, but what about interaction with the form itself? What about building in a duration goal to ensure that drop-off isn't immediate? Or how about a pages per visit goal to understand how engaged the same lead is? And the good news is that UET can provide us with this level of reporting, allowing us to optimize more effectively. So Eric, why don't you sort of go into a little bit more about what else UET can do? Because I'm totally in love with it.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of the same way. And I think to better understand what UET is and kind of where it's going, it's kind of important to understand where we're coming from. So with the old campaign analytics tags, you had to generate a unique tag for each of your campaign goals. Now this led to a ton of work on the back end. You had to troubleshoot your tags, keep track of which one was posted where, and in general, it was kind of an administrative headache. Now with UET, this allows you to implement a single tag and track multiple events that are happening across your website. You can add as many destination, duration, and pages per visit goals as you like without having to ever update the tag. The only thing you need to do is to add additional goals in through the Bing Ads interface. So what does this allow you to do? So with universal event tracking, you can measure the success of your campaign. So I'm going to walk you through some of the ways that UET can help you do that. So you can identify the keywords that lead to better conversions. And with that, you can optimize your ad groups and those keywords and campaigns for your best conversion rates. Now, this is the overall benefit of conversion tracking as a whole. By identifying those keywords, you can then optimize your campaign to make the most of that performance. But with the ROI, you can measure the ROI of your advertising dollars with things like static and dynamic revenue values, and with that you can get a better idea of the overall return of investment. meaning that you can make more informed decisions about how that money is spent. Because without that kind of insight, you're left flying blind. You can make a gut determination, oh, I'm getting more conversions here. Maybe that means this campaign is going to be more valuable to me. But without revenue numbers behind that, you don't know for sure. And with this kind of information, you can make better informed decisions. And you can also identify the audience that have higher conversion rates. With that information, you can optimize your calls to action and site experience for these high-value visitors, making for more efficient advertising campaigns. And so you can do that by tracking these multiple kinds of goals to better understand what your customers are doing, not just where they went. So we're going to talk about some of the different ways you can do that. You can do it with the traditional destination URL goal, but also duration goals, their time on site. You can analyze the pages viewed per visit. You can create unique custom event goals, and you can also start tracking things like mobile app installation. Now, just one note, mobile app install conversion tracking is supported through third-party SDKs. In-app actions are currently not supported. So Purna, why don't you walk us through some use cases for each of these?
Absolutely. Let me give you some examples for each of these goals. So if, for example, I wanted to use the destination goal, and I wanted to use this to track how many people converted on our website. So we could just do something as simple as tracking how many people reach the order confirmation page. So that would be the destination URL that we would track that people visit. You can sort of expand this into 3 different groups of people. You could do site visitors, cart visitors, checkout confirmation visitors, and have fun, right, Eric?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that's really nice about this kind of goal is we built in some flexibility to the system. So the usual way you build out this kind of destination URL goal is with an exact match kind of URL, like a one-to-one match between the goal and the URL in which the visitor went to. But we've also built in some other custom rules to allow for like a begins with logic or a contains logic that allows you some flexibility to track goals as needed on your site. So for the example here, if we have like yoursite.com/thankyou, if you need a little bit more flexibility, you can target just people who visit, say, any URL on your site with /thankyou in it. So it allows you a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more power, and supports some more robust sites out there, because not everybody is going to have this simplistic a level of URL structure. Isn't that right, Purna?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's very well thought out for, to really apply to everybody. So next, I would say for the duration goals. So see, an example would be there if we wanted to track people who spend more than 2 minutes reading customer testimonials on your site. Now, this could be a vital micro conversion that could really determine purchase behavior. So that could be a really good goal for people who might want to track. Next, if I wanted to look at pages per visit, that goal, we could track the pages that the user interacts with. For example, maybe people who browsed 5 or more pages in the product catalog online. That could be a good indication that they are more engaged, and we'll talk to you a little bit later on how we can sort of engage these engaged visitors. And then custom events, this is one of my favorite things that you can do. It's just fantastic. You can even track things like if people start a live chat with customer support, or if they watch a little bit of a video on your website. And Eric, can you sort of give us a little bit on setting up custom event goals?
Yeah, so custom event goals are definitely the most flexible and some of the most powerful ones that we have. So you do this by adding a little bit of extra code to your site that basically defines when this custom event occurs. So for example, when we have this live chat screen up here, we'd want a custom eventifier when somebody clicks on the start chatting button, like a successful start to that chat. And then with that code in place, it would signal our system that, because we've also set up a goal on our end, to look for that kind of event occurring. So we could then start tracking those as a conversion in our system. It's a little more technical. There are plenty of walkthroughs on how to do this on the Bing Ads help site. So I recommend you check that out if you're at all interested in these kinds of flexible goals.
Perfect. And then just to round off our example list, we have the mobile app install goals, which track downloads of apps from the app extensions. So that's really good news for all you app developers out there. Well, Eric, what's the easiest way for people to get started with UET?
Absolutely. So UET is surprisingly easy to get started with. So I'm going to walk you through some simple steps here. So the first thing is you have to define your goals and then create your tag and then implement the tag on your site. Now, one thing I do want to tell you, kind of give you a sneak peek, and we'll go into it a little bit later, but this workflow is going to change coming up in the coming months. So what we're talking about here, it's going to eventually change. We'll give you a sneak peek of that workflow, but this is how it is. Like if you want to get started today, this is how you do it. So you click into your campaigns tab, and on the left panel, you click into your shared library. So if you want to get started with UET, you're no longer going up into the tools and campaign analytics. That's no longer there. It's in the shared library. And when you click on that, you would then see goals and conversions. So you would see view goals and conversions, and that's what you would click on. Once there, on the goals page, you click create goal. So you have to define a goal first before you can generate a tag. So if you've done nothing, you haven't started with UET yet, this is where you get started. And there you start by naming your goal. So you enter a name for your goal in your goal name box, and when naming that goal, you want to make sure you use a descriptive name that makes sense to you. So give your goal a name so that's easily identifiable. So if you have a lot of different accounts rolling up under the same customer ID, make sure you're naming them uniquely so that you call out like it's tied to this account and it's for this specific action. As an example, make sure it's for order completion or visited shopping cart or created an account. Just don't have it as goal 1. Make sure it's unique, right? You then select the goal type. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, mostly because we already talked about them, but this is where you select the type of conversion you want to track. So destination, duration, pages or screens per visit, and those mobile app installations. You'd fill in the appropriate values for each different type of goal that you choose. So if you choose destination goal, that's where you're prompted to enter in a web page URL, as well as the logic that you'd use to determine when that goal fires. If it was for a duration goal, that's when you'd pick the duration or the event. That's where you define the type of goal that you're tracking here. And then optionally, you can also assign a goal value to the conversion and enter a conversion period to track, which goes up to 90 days in the past. So for the goal value here, why you might want to consider doing that. So if you're an e-commerce site, well, you're going to want to track revenue pretty much no matter what. But you can also create a static goal value where you want to track micro conversions or conversions where they don't have a direct revenue value, but they're of some value to your business. So if you know that when somebody downloads a white paper, maybe they're not a customer quite yet, but that in the long run, maybe let's say for the sake of an argument, you have like a $100, your thing generates $100 of revenue, and a white paper generates roughly $25 in revenue for you. Well, you can assign that kind of value here. But with this code template down here that we've also listed, that's how you start generating dynamic revenue. And we'll walk you through how to do that a little bit later, but this is a snippet of code that you add to the end of your UET tag that then feeds in the dynamic revenue to the Bing Ads interface. So for all of you out there who are questioning, how do I track dynamic revenue? This is how you do it. So we'll show you how to do that closer to the end of the webinar.
Eric, MJ here. I have a question that came in on the Q&A that I want to ask. You may or may not know the answer to it.
Okay.
I'll throw you a curveball here. So I have a question from Jan. This may be perfect timing, I think.
Yeah.
She says, all my clients have UET tracking codes installed, but they do not have an audience tab showing in the shared library. Can you explain what might be going on?
Absolutely. So what's going on there is that you're not currently enabled. So remarketing is still in beta. So if you're not seeing that, it's because you're not currently participating. So once remarketing goes live, which is happening
early October.
Very soon.
Yep, very soon.
You'll start seeing the audience tab there. And so that's when you'll start being able to track those kinds of audience segments.
There you go, Jan.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, my pleasure. And again, if you have more questions like that, keep them coming because that's what we're here for. So Purna, why don't you walk us through some ways to implement the tag on the website?
Perfect. And just to add, I'm such a huge fan of micro conversions, Eric. That was just phenomenal advice. All right, so there's really two simple ways that we can implement the UET tag on our site. So in the first option, you just want to implement it sort of directly and manually on your website. So here's how. We'll go into the Bing Ads user interface and set up your goal and tags, just like Eric walked us through. And then you just take the JavaScript tag and implement it directly on your website. So remember, it's very flexible. You can place this tag anywhere on your site, either the header, the body, or the footer section. So you can do that anywhere you like. But what's important to remember is to implement this UET tag across your entire site, like every single page, so you can benefit from the goal tracking options as well as fully develop your audience segments. And then you can also, option 2 is you can place your tag within a tag management system. So say, for example, providers that we sort of work with, our tag can work easily with sort of Adobe Tag Manager or Google, and you can place the tag within, just right within that supported tag management provider.
Yeah, and Purna, if I could interject here really quickly,
Yeah.
I'm seeing some questions, is UET like a replacement for a tag manager? And no, so UET works in concert with tag management systems. I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Exactly. So your UET is actually your JavaScript tag, and then you can put it in within your existing tag management system.
Yeah, so what are some advantages of that approach, Purna?
So really, I think that the data has shown that the industry is really moving towards both analytics and media tags, managing them through tag management software. I mean, there are really many advantages, just really including it allows for better organization. The tag management system will serve as a central repository for tags and firing logic. Also, it gives you a lot more flexibility. You can deploy tags even without a code release, and easier scalability. Efficiently deploy your analytics and media tags on your own. Like I remember cases where you're working in-house and the IT team is swamped and you just can't get your tag on, and here you can sort of avoid all of that and have more control. Eric, can you sort of maybe walk us through, I mean, those are really great questions coming in. Why don't we go over sort of any sort of troubleshooting tips that you have for people?
Yeah, so in my experience working with clients and working with UET myself, there are kind of two main issues that you're going to run across. So the first is that your goal data isn't available. So some points for you to know. So reporting should be available to you within 3 hours after confirming activity on a goal. So if you're not seeing that, if you're seeing 0 conversions after that time, first confirm that you have the right tracking tags embedded on your site. Now, whether that means, so make sure your UET is actually present on the page or that it's correctly firing based on your tag management solution. So we recommend tagging all web pages on your site to get the most out of UET, and we'll tell you why in just a couple of minutes. But at a minimum, make sure that the tag is on the destination URL that you defined in the Bing Ads interface for your goal. You're also going to want to confirm that your goals are enabled, because they can be paused or enabled individually. And make sure that the settings are correct and that each goal has the correct corresponding tag name. Also confirm the status. Check that the goal itself has been paused. And also, if you added the UET tag and your site is getting traffic but you still can't see reporting results, reevaluate the likelihood of your goals actually being achieved. So for example, if you're looking to track users that have visited 10 pages or more on your website in the last visit, but the vast majority of users only view a maximum of 5 pages per visit based on your analysis from other analytics platforms, it may actually take a while to get that kind of data, and you might want to lower that goal, reset your expectations. So hopefully that kind of helps you out. But I can say 99% of the time, or well, closer to maybe 90%, you're going to want to review your goal settings, because oftentimes it comes from using too restrictive a logic on your destination URL goals. Maybe you're using =2 when you need to be using something like begins with or contains. So start by evaluating your goals first. Now, the other issue, which actually kind of has the same answer, is that your conversions are unusually high. So in that case, you're going to want to confirm your tracking tags and then double check your goal conditions, because maybe you've set something up like you've set it up where your goal is, you've set up for your goal is going to fire when it goes to just the basic URL. So www.yoursite.com, you might have set it up inaccurately so that your goal fires every single time somebody goes to your homepage. which in that case would look fantastic in terms of conversion results, but it's not really accurate. So double
How
check.
disappointing.
Exactly, I know, right? No, I've actually had a case where a client has come to me saying, our conversion volume, it's fantastic. We had like a 56% conversion rate. So their conversion rate actually mimicked their bounce rate. So when you see something like that, you know that maybe things aren't quite on the up and up. So double check that the tag is firing as expected.
Perfect. And hey, Eric, I heard that there's something new and exciting coming up with UET. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek of the new UET features that are coming. So hopefully this is going to blow up on social media. So if you do, make sure you tag us on Twitter. So what's new in Universal Event Tracking? So we've heard your feedback and are now going to support the following new features. So we're going to have an improved workflow. So we've made UET easier to use with a more intuitive experience and inline alerts as you go through the process of creating your tags and goals. We're also going to allow for unique conversions, where advertisers will have the flexibility to count conversions according to your business needs. So when creating a goal, advertisers can now choose to count unique conversions. So with this setting, Bing Ads counts only unique conversions that happen after an ad click. So this is a good choice for the advertiser who is not interested in the number of sales, but instead whether or not a certain kind of lead was generated. So this is fantastic for lead generation, where the unique conversion is valuable to your business, not every single conversion. Or you can track all conversions, which has been available since launch. And with this setting, Bing Ads counts all conversions per your track goal that happen after an ad click. Now, this is a default option and a good choice if the advertiser wants to track sales. So if a user makes 3 purchases, each with, value to your business, Bing Ads would count 3 conversions and attribute them to the ad click. But we also are going to allow for account level goals, which you can now create goals at the customer level or the account level. So example, when a goal is associated to one account, in order to attribute conversions to only clicks from that account, they're referred to as account level goals. But you can also track, if they're associated to all accounts, they're called customer level goals. So this is ideal for customers that have accounts under a customer shell with different websites and domains. Now we also have tag and goal tracking status. So in the Bing Ads UI, advertisers can now validate if their conversions are being recorded for the goal. So we have 4 tracking statuses that you'll be able to see. So we have unverified, which is we haven't verified that the UET tag has been put on your website yet. So this is going to take about a day to verify. If it's been more than 24 hours and you still see this status, that means you've either not tagged your site or you've tagged it incorrectly. So you can visit the help page for instructions on how to actually correctly implement it on your site. We also have no recent conversions. So we've seen the UET tag, but we haven't recorded any conversions in the last 7 days, meaning that the goal conditions might be incorrect. Now we also have a status for recording conversions, meaning that everything's on the up and up. And then we also have one for the tag being inactive, so that we no longer see the tag within the past 24 hours. We also support the contains function for custom events. Now, when this operator is used, Bing Ads verifies if the input string is present anywhere in the URL by the UET tag. And then we also have conversion metrics in the goals page. So our goals page is now going to show conversions, so you can easily track and count the conversions that you received. Previously, you had to go to the goals report in the reports interface. So we're going to have more UI support for this.
Real quick question, Eric. I think this is a good timing to ask this. Jeremy has a question about, so is the new UET tag going to replace the existing tag we have on their order success page?
It will not replace your tag. So this is purely it's a UI and a workflow improvement. So the tag itself will remain the same. Everything else around it, like the goals and the UI itself, is what's changing. So you shouldn't have any need to retag your sites.
No extra work for you guys. Don't worry.
Absolutely. And no extra work is the best kind of work in my experience.
That's right. That was a good question, though. I'm glad, Jeremy, you asked that.
Yeah, fantastic question.
And we're not stopping there, There's more and more exciting news coming out from Bing. And I'm so excited about this because this is something that's very near and dear to my heart, is that what is going to launch very, very, very soon is remarketing in paid search. Woo! I'm clapping here, even though I know you guys can't see me, but Take a look at our blog after October 1st, and you will get to the latest news and updates on exactly when it's coming out and how you can get started. But today, Eric and I wanted to give you a little bit more insights to prepare you for using this very well.
Yeah, how to set you up for success.
Exactly. So again, why do I get so ridiculously excited about remarketing? Well, it's just so powerful. As you guys know, people who visit our site before and are familiar with our brand and products, they're just far more likely to convert. And that's really important because, we're just horrible shoppers, you guys. 96% of us first-time visitors will just leave without converting. And 70% of us will add products to a cart, but then abandon it. So really, from an advertiser standpoint, remarketing will give you a second chance to convert or engage with customers. So let me walk you through a little bit how it works exactly. So this is remarketing in paid search is a similar product offering to Google AdWords is RLSA or remarketing list for search ads. So wherein your remarketing ads will be served in the SERPs. So how it works is a user or prospect will visit your website, and then we will collect the information anonymously through the UET tag, and then they will go into a remarketing list based on how you've defined the roles. And so that if once they leave and if they do another search on Bing or Yahoo, that's when our ad is served to them. So remember, this is different than your display remarketing, wherein you go to a website and you leave and you're on, another a newspaper website and you see a banner ad. This is not that. This is if you do a search, again in Bing, and if you're looking for something, that's when the ad can be served to you right in the SERPs. So really that's how it works. Eric, maybe let's walk them through how easy it is to set up remarketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And just one note, though, you hit the nail on the head when it comes to remarketing and search, in that because they're already qualified, they've been to your site, and now they're searching again for a term that you've targeted, it's just kind of double the intent. So it really is kind of a win-win in that respect. So how easy is it to set up? Well, Purna, I'll tell you, it is super easy to set up. So to get started with remarketing, you'll have to place our universal event tracking tag across your website. So if you've already done this, congratulations, you've already completed step one and you're kind of prepared for this. So tagging your entire site gives you more ways to define and create audiences. That's why we recommend tagging the entire thing. So once you've tagged your website, you can begin defining and creating remarketing lists based on a user's activity. For example, say you want to remarket to people who partially filled out a lead form or abandoned a shopping cart. And finally, you can then engage with these users in your remarketing lists by customizing your ads, keywords, and bids when they search on the Bing Ads network. So what does that look like in the interface? Well, as Jan had mentioned,
sneak peek of interface.
Exactly. So Jan had mentioned she wasn't seeing the audiences in the shared library, and she won't until this goes live, but this is what it's going to look like. So here you'd be creating remarketing lists based on URLs or custom events. So you define your remarketing list name, you'd select people to add to your list based off of where they visited or the behaviors, you'd determine their membership duration, and then you'd select the tag that is associated with. So you have that one UET tag, that's where you'd pick that tag because that's the audience it's going to pull from. We then determine how we engage with this audience. So we do that by associating these lists with an ad group. And then once associated, you can adjust your bids, customize your ads, or broaden your keywords. And then you track how your remarketing lists are performing through our reports or on the audiences tab. So one really quick thing I can do to set you up with success is, it's a really quick tip. You don't have to actually do anything. You don't have to adjust your bids or customize your ads or broaden your keywords. You can just layer your audiences on top of your search campaigns with no other changes, just to get an idea of how they perform. It won't actually impact your performance. It just basically reports on how this audience actually interacts with your site without changing your existing performance. So basically, once this goes live, this is the first thing I recommend that you do. And here are some really quick cookie facts for you. You need at least 1,000 users or cookies, cookied users in a list. You can adjust bids by up to plus 900% or down to negative 90%. And lists are shareable across all accounts under the same customer shell.
Eric, that's all great, Purna, fantastic, but really, I'd like to know how our customers that are listening today can really make some money. Show me the money.
Show me the money? Oh,
That's right.
gosh.
Show me the money
Okay.
and I'll
Come
show you
on.
the money. The whole secret is so simple. It's audience segmentation. Audience segmentation is just what we can do to improve our ROI. So we're going to talk a little bit more about defining and creating our audiences in more detail. But again, with remarketing, you can target users by how they've interacted with your website. For example, you can target somebody if they just visited your homepage, or they, spent 2 minutes reviewing your testimonials page, or if they just came and they abandoned the shopping cart. So as you go down the funnel, you can get really creative then and optimize your bids and your ad based on the journey that they take. The lower in the funnel the customer is, the more it makes sense to increase your bids or use creative that will sort of really drive them to convert. Exactly the same with broadening keywords or expanding match types, as Eric was saying earlier. Because we're using remarketing and targeting specific segments, you can test new keywords and match types by pre-qualifying your audience based on their behavior. We could even bid on these keywords, like broad keywords that we maybe couldn't afford to or didn't want to bid in our regular PPC campaigns.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And I just have a really great example. So I
Mm-hmm.
used to do some work with a client who, they were a golf resort, like a golf course and a resort and a hotel. And so they had to be like a very small budget, so they had to be very selective about the keywords that they picked. But with something like remarketing and search, they were able to bid on keywords they wouldn't normally. They actually bid on broad match golf, which would normally be a fairly, wouldn't be the best proposition based on
expensive
their...
as well as
Yeah,
wasted traffic normally.
Exactly. But with remarketing, that pre-qualified traffic means it's not a reckless decision at all. It's actually a smart decision because those people have already seen their site.
Exactly. I love that. So what we will do now, Eric and I are going to walk you through 6 different audience segments that will give you the Midas touch, and all your ROI will turn to gold. So we're going to start with the core list. There's 2 of them that are really the bread and butter of remarketing lists. So we're going to call them the core list. Eric, kick us off.
Absolutely. So the first list you should get started with is the list that helps you woo the window shoppers. So it's not super exclusive. It's not like a newly released club or restaurant. It's pretty broad. So who goes on the list? Well, these are visitors who browse and get no conversions. So they came, they saw, but they didn't convert. These are the more general visitors who've reached the site, looked at least one page, and then left without converting. For example, let's say you sell insurance. Shopper Joe came to read a blog post, visited your homepage, but then he left. Our goal here is to try and get those window shoppers to engage further with our brand to try and earn that conversion. So starting with a broad audience can be quite helpful, especially in the beginning as you're building up your audience pool. Then we can deepen and segment into window shoppers based on product categories. Now, similarly, these are the folks who stock by at least one product page, so we know that the product could be of interest to them. So what's our aim with this list? Well, it's simple. Target people who've been to the site before with higher bids and make our ads more visible to increase the rate of return visits. Data shows that return visitors have a higher chance of converting than those who haven't been to the site before. So what are some of the strategies we can employ? Well, like Purna mentioned before, we can expand our keyword lists to try and capture them again. Maybe we can increase our bids and then edit our ad copy. So that's a very basic list, but what's another thing we can do? Purna, what's our second core list?
Yeah, so I love starting with the window shoppers. We can build up our pools, but now we got to go to the people who are the most likely to convert. So we're going to take our sort of practical giant magnet to woo back and attract the people who added to cart and, filled out the partial form. The people who were close but no cigar, and try to get them to come back and purchase. I mean, they're clearly engaged, so why not try to lure them back and close the sale? So as we're trying to attract these qualified leads, I mean, probably they just got distracted by the latest cat video or by Facebook, and maybe that's why they left. So
Guaranteed.
I like
Guaranteed.
Yes. Cat videos are a big thing for me. But I would like to test and A/B test a few different approaches. So we'll start gentle and we'll just sort of get a little bit more forceful. So we'll start with a simple, gentle reminder to just bring the product and the brand top of mind. Then we can try to sort of remove any barriers to conversions or, ease their mind by sharing, how, and how easy our return policy is. Then we want to sort of try to attract them right while they're doing comparison shopping by maybe bidding on some competitor terms so we show up. Then we can nudge a little bit harder with special shipping offers like, hey, orders over $25 ship free just this week. Or, hey, it's a free upgrade to 2 days shipping if you order this week. So that will sort of give them some more incentive and urgency to want to purchase. And then again, if all else fails, we can take the blunt instrument approach of offering special deals or discounts, such as buy one, get one free, or 10% off, all sort of insert the product category that they're interested in this week. So 10% off all running shoes this week, for example. And again, something else to test is because this segment has the highest likelihood of converting, I would suggest raising your bids much higher to capitalize on it. We'd recommend going up to 200 or 300%, or maybe as high as up to 900% if you're seeing it performing well for you. And then test out your cookie window durations. The default is 180 days, but maybe because of urgency and recency to purchase, maybe shortened time durations might allow you to be more compelling in your ad copy, but still not irritate your audience. So that could be good to test out as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Eric, let's get some granularity now.
Yeah, let's do it. So we've talked about this a little bit, specifically the cat video part, so I apologize for this slide, but come on, he's so cute. Look at him.
Come on, that's awesome.
You can re-engage your engaged visitors. So what do I mean here? So these are people who maybe didn't get quite to the cart, so they weren't quite ready to commit to a purchase, but maybe they interacted with your site a little bit more than the window shoppers.
More than a cat playing a mouse game.
Yeah, exactly. He's really invested in that video, guys. I can't tell you how much I love this photo. So unlike the window shoppers, this group actually took the effort of walking into the store, quote unquote, to browse. These are folks who've had above average interactions with your site, or who they've taken certain actions on your site, such as, event-based. They watched part of a video. A duration, they spent at least 2 minutes on the site, or they viewed these different pages. Now, perhaps they got distracted by the latest cat video, or I guess, for our example up here, it had to be a mouse video, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be looking at cat videos. Clearly they're interested and they have a higher likelihood of converting than general visitors who bounced quickly. So let's win them over completely. Let's turn them from engaged visitors into customers. So how do we do it? Let's fill in the blanks for them. So let's guide them to the next stage of the purchase funnel and get them to add to the cart so they become a member of the list we just talked about. It's likely they just needed a little bit more prodding or a little more information as a reminder to take that next step. So let's fill in those blanks with things like product reviews and review annotations. That's a product that's in pilot now that you might be able to employ. Let's, even call it out in the case study or in the ad itself, and do the same thing with more information like case studies or in the site like extensions. Talk about shipping offers, free or faster, or get special offers or discounts. A lot of the same strategies here. But then test things like click to call, because phones have higher conversion rates, and then use the bid modifier by going up to 150% or more based on how well it works. But so these are people who are engaged, but is there something we can do with recent converters? I mean, these are people who are our most valuable customers. They've already been customers, so we should probably treat them with white gloves, right, Purna?
Oh yeah, we want to shower them with just love and affection. So a great way that I found to improve your customer lifetime values or LTVs is to try to upsell recent converters. So who gets on the list? Our cherished customers. They liked us enough to buy the first time, so it's quite likely they'll be interested in future purchases. So here's our chance to really converse with them, in a way thank them for their business, and be really helpful. It will go a long way toward boosting brand loyalty. And I think, it's so much easier to sell again to an existing customer than to win over a brand new customer. So here are ways that we can do. So again, what we want to be here is try to be really, really helpful, as opposed to hard selling them. Maybe we knew that they came and they liked a lipstick from a certain brand. So maybe they'll be really interested in this brand new long-lasting foundation. Sort of give them something that they might relate to with relevant cross-sells.
Lipstick and foundation, you're speaking my language here, Purna.
I thought so, Eric.
Mine too, Purna.
Yes. Also, I like to give them some discounts and promotions. So again, not everyone's going to see it, but it's a way to bring this audience back in the search that, hey, if you're shopping today, you can get an extra 10% off this week. So we can give them excuses to come back and spend more money. And also, same thing will go with purchase incentives, where you can say that, hey, you can get this free perfume with your lipstick and your foundation. So,
or it might be a good opportunity to, maybe they bought something, and maybe if you want to continue to interact with them, maybe this is a chance to remarket to them about joining joining their email list, something like that.
Exactly. There's so many different reasons, and it's talking to your recent converters and just making them feel special, because they are. I mean, everyone is so thankful for their customers. Well, let's broaden the sort of scope a little bit. What do we do with offline to online, Eric?
So yeah, who gets on this kind of list? Now this is kind of more of a far out idea for a list, but hear me out. Who gets on this list is traffic from offline channels, something like TV, or even other channels like social, and specifically retargeting to those audiences. So how do you retarget to something like this? Well, simple. You'd add the UET tag to the custom URLs for those kinds of campaigns. So let's say you had a TV promotion or a print ad with a specific kind of abbreviated URL. Well, you'd make sure your UET tag is on that specific site, and then you'd expressly create a remarketing list targeting kinds of users. And you can use this same kind of tactic for cross-channel campaigns as well, things like social media promotions or brick-and-mortar stores. And so you'd want to reinforce your offline messages, making sure you have congruent messaging across the store experience or the TV ad experience and on the site in the ad itself. So reinforce the message of the TV or print ad within the search ads and on the landing page as well to increase the chances of getting that conversion. Add a time limit to remind them the offer is for a short time only, and make sure that's reflected in your cookie window to add that sense of urgency and encourage the sale. Because I know, knowing the way I purchase things, I am all about that limited time offer impulse purchase, and this would be a great way to emphasize that.
Oh yeah, that completely ties, speaks right to our reptilian brain inside. I mean, I'm fascinated by the psychology of purchase patterns and so on. Well, I
love how you think, Purna.
Reptilian, yeah.
That's what it's called. I swear, I didn't make it up, but
I love it.
My favorite list, to infinity and beyond. Yes, I have a child. Yes, he watches Toy Story a lot. But anyway, there's no better way to describe this list. I think, why should we be confined by the boundaries of our own site? Remarketing and paid search is just so affordable and can have significantly higher conversion rates. So we need the power of other people's audiences, or OPA, to scale things up.
Okay.
So,
Opa.
Opa.
I love that.
We haven't got a Greek restaurant. So anyway, the site should be complementary. So for example, if I sold pet food and Eric sold pet toys, then we could both sort of work together to increase our share of voice amongst a relevant audience.
Yeah, and just to interject, one thing you can do here, so I've also seen a lot of co-marketing efforts happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing a webinar for somebody else, but my company still wanted to make use of the audience that was coming through to our partners' websites. They would place our tag there.
That is so smart. And exactly, so think like that. You want to go out and tag just related complementary websites, make friends, form partnerships, find these sort of mutually beneficial co-marketing opportunities, and try and find a way to test this out, since it just really can drastically expand your marketing pool.
Yeah.
And here, you can woo these people as hard as we woo the window shoppers. So let's go broad on our keywords and be bold with our bids. Again, you can up them by 50 to 150% or more. And then you can even give them your wonderful offers, and our powerful CTAs will just help us close the deal.
Yeah, and just one thing to add, I mean, a lot of work goes into these kinds of like co-marketing partnerships. So this is a way you can help to make the most of those.
Exactly. I love that. It's such a win-win offering that it's just, why would you not do it? So think it through. So let's sum it up, Eric. So we'll go through the 6 lists again. So we had the window shoppers where, again, they came, they saw, but they didn't convert.
Yep.
The abandoners that were closed but no cigar. They came, but then they just didn't finish the purchase. The the engaged visitors, the people who really look super interested. Like you had the great date with them, you thought they would call, but they still haven't. So how do we get them back? And then we want to keep our cherished customers happy with upsells. We can even use the power of offline and different channels and still remarket. I mean, those channels are expensive. So if you're putting that money, try to lower your overall CPA. And then finally, do not forget the power of OPA with other people's audiences.
Absolutely. So since we're closing in on this, we're going to go through 4 optimizations that are worth their weight in gold.
Hey guys, I'm just going to interject here real quick. I promised everyone online here that I'm going to try to get to a lightning round of questions for you guys.
All right.
So I know you're going to get into like 4
there might be some in here.
tactics. As soon as we get through that, I want to spend at least 5 minutes trying to answer everyone's questions.
Absolutely. So this is going to be the lightning round of optimizations. So I'm going to go over 4. Purna and I are going to go off on these. So number 1, bid like a boss. So with remarketing, you're going to have the option to do bid only and target and bid as your options. So bid only is your ads will show anytime your keyword targeting matches and your audience is relevant. Whereas targeting bid is exclusive. Your ads are only going to show to people when you're bidding, when your keyword shows and they're a part of that audience. So it's much more exclusive. So why would you do this? Well, the strategy here is when you want to do the bare minimum of work, you just do bid only. But if you want to get a little bit more customized with the ads and the broadened keywords, that's when you do your targeting and bid. And then you also improve your ROI by later adjusting those bids, by raising or lowering them. So keep that in mind. That's a definite thing to make use of when you're optimizing these audiences. Now, Purna, what about creepiness?
Oh, yeah. So let's be honest. Sometimes remarketing can come across as pretty creepy, especially in sort of extreme cases. So we don't want to look like stalkers. So let's avoid being too specific in the ad copy. Subtlety works best. We don't want to creep people out when they're doing a search in Bing that says, hey, come back and buy your shoes. Just focus on how to converse with them, maybe showing case studies or testimonials to re-engage the engaged segment. And again, you want to test your different cookie windows and not just have the same ads to people for 180 days at a time. Eric, let's talk more about dynamic revenue, because I mean, that's phenomenal.
All right, so this is going to be a very, very short version of this, but to track a dynamic goal value with UET, like revenue or conversion for your destination goal, you just add a snippet of Java code to the UET code on your web page. So the functions defined in this code need to be replaced, defined, and owned by you or your web developer. Now, just one note, dynamic goal values are only supported for destination and event goals. Now, this is the code that you add to the end of your UET tag. The thing you need to keep in mind is the part that I've bolded here, the part where it says amount. That needs to be changed to reflect your unique website, like whatever you're using to call out the total value of your cart or the purchase on the thank you page. That needs to be changed. So the amount needs to be changed to whatever that is. So if it's total price, amount here needs to be changed to total price, because then that lets this tag snippet know to call back to that on the page and push it to us in the Bing Ads interface. So when you're making this customization, that's what needs to be changed. So believe me, we have a lot of literature out there, and we'll be happy to answer these kinds of questions.
Real quick, Eric, will dynamic conversion values for revenue tracking work if implemented within a tag management system?
Yes, just make sure it's properly customized to the website you're using it for.
Thanks, Heidi, for that question.
Yeah, good call out, and I'm glad we could touch on it.
Perfect.
And then Purna. It's the holidays, so
I
let's talk
know.
about it.
We're coming up to, I think, everybody's favorite time of the year. But for marketers, I know it can get stressful. It's competitive. CPCs are like through the roof. Conversion rates sort of suffer a little bit, but that's where remarketing can come in and save the day. So because remarketing targets your visits from all sources, not just PPC, around the holidays, you can use remarketing to bring down your overall CPAs by recapturing these same visitors no matter where they originally came from. Again, people are bombarded with more and more ads at this time, right? So some good reminders and purchase incentives might be needed to close the sale for you. And I'm a big comparison shopper, so especially around the holidays, you have a lot of gifts to buy. How do you be sort of mindful with your budget? So if people are comparison shopping, you can bid on your competitor terms to grab their attention and bring them back to you. So remember, do start building out the remarketing list pretty much as soon as it's available, so that you've had cookied enough people for it to really be fully effective by the time the holidays come around. Well, let's get a Q&A, MJ. What do you think?
Let's skip these. You can get this deck. You can download it. Let's get to the Q&A. We have 3 minutes left. So,
all right.
Rapid fire.
Okay, here we go. So from Jeremy, will the UET goals track cross-campaign? For example, product ads versus search.
So it depends. So the goals depend on like the logic that you use. So if your product ads and your search ads are making use of the same like end goal, like the same destination URLs at the end, then yes, it will track across them. But if you're making use of different thank you pages, making them distinct, then you'd have to create a goal for each of those.
So I guess that also might answer Jeff's question. When using the contains logic, does it only apply to the subpage or folder?
So with contains logic, it can be as like large or as small as you need it to be. So if you want it to be contains, like starting with the very beginning of your website, like www.yoursite.com/thank-you, like it can be contains like all of that, and then it'll be, it'll fire whenever the URL contains that entire string. So it can be as long or as short as you need it to be.
Question from Steven. Does UET work like any other tracking site? CPV Lab, Google Analytics? Not really. So it's more of a tag that is going to set you up for remarketing.
Yeah.
It's not competing with Google Analytics.
Yeah, so it's not designed for site analytics insights. It's designed purely so you can get more out of your Bing Ads campaigns, like to measure revenue and remarketing. It's not designed to compete for site-wide analytics insights.
This is an interesting question. Megan has a question. Can you import AdWords remarketing campaigns into Bing?
So not the display stuff, and I'm not sure how it's going to work with like the remarketing functionality. Like you'll probably still have to go into the audiences tab and affiliate your audiences with the ad groups. But like if you have a search remarketing campaign built out, you can still import like that campaign, those keywords, those ads, but then do the audience associations in the Bing Ads interface.
Cool. Let's see. Well,
let's see. I see one up there that's a pretty good question. So why would I want to do search remarketing versus regular pay-per-click advertising?
There you go.
And really, you'd want to do them both. Like, it's not an either-or thing. Like, it's just another tool in your toolbox. Because with search remarketing, you're taking advantage of people who've already been to your site before. And in a way, it allows you to maximize their value because they might be going back to keywords that, on the face of it, might be unprofitable for you. But with this audience layered on top of it, might actually be good, like a good fit for you.
Mike has a question. Can you exclude audiences as well?
So
yes, yet.
Yeah.
That is
not
something,
as of yet.
Right. Not in this first incarnation of remarketing that is going out. But no, that's a really good question. So you can just be careful with the flexibility that we have with the rules that you can set up in creating, with the regex and so on. You can still be careful and try to do it in some ways.
So one question here from Ron is, do we have a list of properties that ads will display on? So for this case, there's no need for it. This all shows up on the search results page. So if you need a domain, it's just bing.com or yahoo.com. So that's where these ads will show.
So that also answers a bunch of questions. I think that there's a, like where do the remarketing search ads actually show.
Yeah.
It's in the SERP.
It's on the SERP, and so it's a dual function thing. Like they have to search for something, and you have to be targeting it, and they have to be a member of this list. So this is this adds to your overall search marketing efforts.
It just allows you, back to that same question, why would you want to do both? It's a way that you can broaden your search and try to bring people back to your website if they sort of left in a way. They're still interested in the product or the service. They haven't purchased it if they're still searching. So try to bring them back and you get the sale.
Okay, so we are actually 1 minute over. If we didn't get to any, I love that there was a comment that, squids are creepy and sharks are deadly. Thank you very much, Marshall.
Agreed, Marshall, 100%. Yes. Stay away from those.
I love that. Well, thank you everyone for being so engaging and asking a ton of questions. If we did not get to your question, I'm going to try and sit here and answer them in the interface. However, please tweet me at MJ DePalma, as well as Purna and Eric, and the Twitter handles are at the bottom. Stay in touch, ask your questions. We can't wait to get you guys set up with remarketing. Deploy UET as soon as you can, and thanks for joining, and see you next month.
Talk to you soon. Thank you, guys.